what they are becoming. The silence after breaking is never empty. It breathes, it listens, and sometimes it waits to see if you truly survived what just happened. Neither of them moved right away. Princess Elaris Vael stood where she had pulled back, still shaking, but standing. That mattered. Across from her, Kael Ardent watched carefully, not cautiously, intentionally, because now every movement between them mattered. Not just physically, through the bond. "You feel different," he said quietly. Her eyes flickered. "I am less divided." That was new, because before there had always been two forces inside her, hunger and resistance. Now, there was something else, balance. Kael exhaled slowly. "I feel it too." She studied him. How? He took a moment before. A breath. "It felt like I was reacting to you." Another. "Now it feels like I'm with you." The difference was subtle, but profound. Elaris stepped closer. Not dangerously. Not cautiously. Naturally. "That is not how the bond was meant to function," she said. Kael gave a faint smile. "Yeah, I'm starting to get that." The bond was changing, not stabilizing, evolving. Because it had not been formed through dominance, it had been formed through choice. And now, it was learning from both of them. Elaris lifted her hand slowly, this time without hesitation. She placed it lightly against his chest again, over his heart. The rhythm was steady, calm, but not unaffected. "I can feel your control now," she whispered. Kael nodded. "Good. Because I can feel yours." That stopped her. "You shouldn't be able to," she said. "I can." Silence. Her gaze lowered because that meant something dangerous. "You are learning my restraint," she said. "Yes. And I am learning yours." Another pause. "That is not natural." Kael shrugged slightly. "Neither is any of this." That almost made her smile. Almost. Something new moved through the bond. Not hunger, not fear. Recognition. Kael shifted slightly. "Can you feel this?" Her brow furrowed. "Feel what?" He focused. Not on the hunger, not on instinct, on intention. And suddenly, she felt it. A quiet steadiness, a deliberate calm, a refusal to let the bond pull him where it wanted. Her breath caught. "You are doing that on purpose." "Yes." "How?" "I don't know." A faint breath. "But I can push back." That changed everything. Elaris stepped closer again, her voice lowered. "Do it again." He did. Focused, grounded, the bond shifted, not violently, but noticeably. The hunger quieted, just slightly, but enough. Elaris's eyes widened. That is not supposed to be possible. Kael exhaled slowly. Well, it is. The bond had not just connected them, it had given them influence over each other, not control, not dominance. Balance. Elaris stepped back slightly, not from fear, from thought. "This changes the nature of everything," she said. Kael tilted his head. "In what way?" Her gaze lifted. "If this can be learned? If this can be controlled?" Another. "Then the bond is not a chain." She looked at him fully. "It is a choice that can be maintained." That was new, radically new. Kael nodded slowly. "Then we learn it." She studied him. "You speak as if that is simple." "It's not." A faint breath. "But it's better than the alternative." "What alternative?" His voice softened. "Losing ourselves." Silence. That was the truth neither of them could avoid. Elaris's voice lowered. "I came very close." Kael nodded. "I know." "But you didn't." Her breath steadied. "And next time?" she asked. Kael met her gaze. "Next time, we're ready." That mattered. More than confidence. More than reassurance. Preparation. The bond pulsed again. But this time, it didn't push. It listened, far above them. In the higher halls of Velmora, the court had not gone quiet. They had felt the surge, the instability, the near loss of control. And they had drawn their own conclusions. "This cannot continue," one voice whispered. "She will destabilize the bloodline," another said. "He is influencing her," a third insisted. Lord Vareth stood apart, silent, watching, because he had felt something else. Not just instability, resistance. And that was something far more dangerous to the old order. Elaris exhaled slowly. "They will not accept this easily." Kael gave a small, knowing smile. "I didn't expect them to." She looked at him. Not as a risk. Not as something fragile. As someone standing with her. "Then we will have to prove it," she said. He nodded. "Good." Because I'm not going anywhere. The bond warmed, steady, grounded. And for the first time, it didn't feel like something trying to pull them apart. It felt like something they could shape. They had stood at the edge of losing everything and chosen not to fall. Now, they stood at the beginning of something new. Not a bond of control, not a bond of hunger, but a bond of will. And that was something no one in Velmora had ever seen before. The Challenge of the Court, by dawn. The citadel no longer whispered, it watched. Every corridor carried the same quiet tension. Every servant moved with careful awareness. Every noble listened for something they did not yet understand. Because word had spread, not as rumor, as certainty. The Princess of Velmora had bound herself, not through dominance, but through choice. The court had gathered again, not for celebration, for judgment. Silver banners hung motionless, crystal lanterns burned cold above. At the center, the dais, and before it, a space left deliberately empty, waiting. The doors opened. Princess Elaris Vael entered first, composed, unshaken, but not alone. Kael Ardent walked beside her, not behind, not beneath, beside. That alone unsettled the room. A ripple passed through the nobles. She does not place him below her. He stands as equal. This is wrong. Elaris did not slow, she did not acknowledge the whispers, because she felt something else now, through the bond. Kael's steadiness, and it anchored her. They stopped before the dais. Lord Vareth stepped forward. His presence filled the hall without effort. Princess. Lord Vareth. You understand why you stand here. Yes. No hesitation. No denial. Vareth's gaze shifted briefly to Kael, then back to her. You have altered the nature of the bond. Yes. You have done so without precedent. Yes, and without permission. That hung heavier, but Elaris did not waver. I did not require permission to choose. A murmur spread, sharper this time, because that was not defiance. That was truth. Studied her. Then spoke, calm. Then you will prove that your choice does not endanger this court. There it was, not rejection. Test. Kael glanced at her slightly. What kind of test? He asked quietly. Elaris did not look at him. Control. The hall shifted. Guards stepped forward, not aggressively, prepared. A servant approached, carrying something covered in dark cloth. The scent reached Elaris first, sharp, fresh, alive. Her body reacted instantly, her breath caught, her pupils darkened, just slightly. Kael felt it too. The bond flared, a sudden spike of hunger, not his. But now, not entirely hers either. What is that? He asked under his breath. Her voice was tight. They are forcing the instinct. The cloth was removed, a vessel, filled with fresh blood. The entire hall went still. Vareth's voice cut through it. Control is not proven in silence. It is proven under pressure. Elaris's jaw tightened. Because this was exactly what she had feared. Drink, Vareth said. The word landed like a command. Silence. Kael felt the bond surge again, stronger now. Focused. Directed. The hunger pulled, hard. Elaris did not move. You will demonstrate restraint, Vareth continued, or you will demonstrate why this bond cannot stand. The implication was clear. If she failed, Kael would not remain beside her. The hunger sharpened. The scent filled the hall. Every instinct in her body screamed. Now. End the resistance. Her fingers curled slightly at her side. Her breath grew shallow. Her focus narrowed. And through the bond, Kael felt all of it. Not distant, not muted, overwhelming. His hand tightened slightly, not from fear, from effort. Elaris, her name quiet, steady, it reached her, but the hunger roared louder. Her eyes flickered, just once. Vareth watched. Unblinking. This is what you chose, he said. Show us it was not weakness. That struck deep. Because that was her greatest fear. Not that she would fail, but that this choice would be seen as less. Her breath broke. The hunger surged again, stronger than before. Kael staggered slightly. This time, it hit him harder. Because now, it was directed, focused. He closed his eyes, just for a second, then opened them again. And instead of resisting blindly, he did what she had taught him. He focused, Not on the hunger, on her, on the part of her that chose. The bond shifted, not enough to stop it, but enough to change it. Elaris felt it. His steadiness, his refusal to be pulled, his presence. And suddenly, the hunger wasn't alone. It had resistance, not just hers, theirs. Her breath steadied just slightly, her gaze lifted away from the vessel to him. That was the moment, not when the hunger hit. When she chose where to look. "I am not this," she whispered. Not to the court, to herself. The hunger surged again, desperate now. Her fangs pressed but did not descend. Her body trembled, but did not move forward. And slowly she stepped back, away from the vessel, away from the command, away from the instinct. Silence. Absolute, because they had all felt it. The pressure, the pull, the moment she could have lost control, and she had not. Vareth's expression did not change immediately. But something in his eyes did. Recognition, not of power, of discipline. "You refused," he said. Elaris met his gaze. "I chose." That is not refusal. That is control. The difference mattered, deeply. The hall remained silent. Then, slowly, Vareth inclined his head. A gesture. Not full acceptance, but acknowledgement. "This bond," he said, "will be watched." Elaris nodded. "I expect nothing less." Vareth's gaze shifted briefly to Kael. "And you?" Kael met his eyes. "You will not fail her." It was not a question. Kael's answer came steady. "No." The bond warmed, not from hunger, from certainty. The court did not celebrate, but they did not reject, because they had seen something undeniable. Not dominance, not submission, control, shared, and that was something Velmora had never witnessed before. As Elaris turned to leave, Kael beside her, the hunger quieted. Not gone, but understood, and for the first time, it did not feel like something that would consume them. It felt like something they might master. What they fear about you. Control had been proven, but control was not what the court feared most. The Citadel did not sleep, not truly, and neither did those who ruled it. Behind sealed doors away from the public hall, the inner council gathered. No ceremony, no audience, only truth. They felt it. The voice came sharp. Not dominance, not submission. Balance, that word echoed, uneasy. Another voice followed. Lower. That is precisely the problem. At the center stood Lord Vareth, silent, listening. "This disrupts the hierarchy," one noble said. "It undermines the bond itself," another added. "If the princess stands as equal, then no bond remains sacred," a third finished. The room tightened, because that was the fear beneath all of it, not her loss of control, but her change. "They will follow her," someone whispered. "They will question the old ways. They will choose differently." Silence, heavy. Then, quietly, they will become harder to control. That was the truth. And truth was always the most dangerous thing in Velmora. Vareth finally spoke. "Then we do not allow it to spread." All eyes turned to him. "We observe," he continued. "A single bond does not reshape a civilization. But if it proves stable," his voice lowered, "then it must be contained." That word lingered. Contained. Elaris felt it before the door closed. A shift in the air. Not the bond. Something else. "They are planning," she said quietly. Kael leaned against the stone wall. "I figured." She turned to him. "They will not confront us directly." "Why not?" "Because they do not yet understand what we are, and they fear acting without certainty." Kael nodded slowly. "That won't last." "No." Silence. Then, something else moved through the bond. Not hunger. Not control. Unease. Kael felt it immediately. "That's not me," he said. "I know." Her gaze shifted toward the corridor. "They're closer." Not the court, not the council. Something else. Footsteps approached, light, measured, not meant to be heard. Elaris stepped forward instinctively, positioning herself slightly in front of Kael. He noticed. "You don't have to do that." "Yes," she said quietly. "I do." The door opened. A single figure entered. Tall, clad in dark silver armor, eyes sharp and calculating. "Princess." The voice carried no warmth, only precision. "Commander Ryven," Elaris replied. Kael felt it instantly, through her. Tension, not fear, recognition. This one mattered. Ryven's gaze moved directly to Kael. lingering, measuring. So this is him. Kael didn't move, didn't react. Yeah, he said. That's me. A flicker of irritation crossed Ryven's expression. Not at the words, at the tone. You speak freely, Ryven said. Kael shrugged slightly. I stand where she stands. The same words. Again. Ryven's gaze shifted to Elaris. You allow this. Her voice was calm. I chose this. That is not what concerns me. Elaris's eyes narrowed slightly. Then speak plainly. Ryven stepped closer, not aggressively, but deliberately. You have altered the bond. Yes. And in doing so, you have made yourself vulnerable. That changed the room. Kael felt it. Not through the bond, through instinct. This was not observation. This was warning. Elaris's voice lowered. I am not vulnerable. Ryven's expression remained steady. You are no longer singular. Silence. His gaze shifted again to Kael. And that makes him your weakness. The words landed, sharp, intentional. The bond reacted instantly. A flare, not hunger, something else. Protective. Elaris stepped forward, fully now, placing herself between them. No. Her voice carried something new, not just authority, certainty. He is not my weakness. Ryven's gaze sharpened. All bonds create vulnerability. Elaris held his stare. This one does not. This one creates strength. Silence, because that was not how their world worked. Ryven studied her, then Kael. Then the space between them. You believe that? Yes, then prove it. The air shifted again, not violently, deliberately. Ryven moved fast. Not toward Elaris, toward Kael. Kael reacted, but not fast enough to match something ancient. Ryven's hand caught his collar, hard, pulling him forward, exposing his throat. The bond exploded. Elaris felt it instantly, not hunger, threat. Her eyes darkened, her fangs descended, not from instinct, from protection. Release him. Ryven didn't. Instead, he tilted Kael's head slightly, presenting the pulse. Show me, he said. The challenge was clear. If he is not your weakness, then you will not lose control. Silence. The entire room held its breath. Because now, this wasn't about hunger. This was about choice, under threat. Elaris stepped forward slowly, her gaze locked onto Kael, not the throat. Him. The bond surged. Violent, protective, alive. Kael didn't fight Ryven's hold, didn't struggle. Instead, he looked at her. Steady. Present. I'm here, he said quietly. That cut through everything. The hunger, the threat, the instinct. Because that was what mattered. Not the challenge, the connection. Elaris stopped, her breath steadied, her fangs remained, but did not move. I do not need to prove anything to you, she said, her voice calm, controlled, unshaken. Ryven watched closely. Then you refuse? Elaris met his gaze. I choose. And I choose not to break. Silence. Then, slowly, Ryven released him. The moment passed, but something had been decided. The court had feared weakness. What they saw was something else. Not vulnerability, not dependence, but restraint under pressure. And that was far more dangerous to the old order, because it could not be controlled, only chosen.